Hello! We're hanging out today, just doing art stuff. And open for anything, I think. I know Bassam won't be able to stay forever, but Becca, Matt, and I think, are just working at our desks. Yeah, so we figured we'd jump on and hang out with folks while we did stuff.
What's happening, kids?
Hello.
Whoops. Sorry, over here getting messy stuff on my phone. I've been arting today, but weird arting. And I figured it might be cool to kind of share what I did, because I took several steps. I learned about, you ever learn about a random new thing and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that right now. Like, I don't even care what I had planned for the rest of the day. I have to find out if this is going to work. So you push everything to the side and you just like dive deeply down a rabbit hole. So I learned about this program that is essentially, it's an AI presenter. So it can take a photo of a person and take the text that you give it, or your own recording, a recording that you've done or somebody else has done, and then animate that image to be the presenter of your information. So like, wow. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I saw that. And of course, immediately in my mind, I'm like, can I stick one of my illustrations in there and have my illustrations say stuff? And if I can, then like I could have the characters in my novels tell their own stories, or like read the blurb, or, like engage with people that way. So I immediately went about making stuff. And yeah. Hi, Facebook friend. I don't know who's all with us today.
Krista,
yay! Yeah, it's absolutely wild. It is called, let me see if I can remember the name, D/ID. So it's Creative Reality Studio. And when you go there, they automatically have like, so you can try it for free. It's going to be covered in like an AI. It'll be covered in logos, so you can't use it to do anything serious, but it'll show you what happens. You can choose from presenters they already have. You can upload your own presenter, so you could upload yourself or any other image of a person that you have the rights to, and then put in text for it to read. It's not perfect yet, but it's really freaking impressive. And so I went in and I figured, why not just do the AI thing and do the whole process from beginning to end with AI. So I went into Midjourney and I created a character portrait. If anybody wants to fight me on this, I'm an artist. I could have painted it from scratch. I chose not to. You can fight me. But I just wanted to see, like, I'm interested to find out what is possible, right? Like, what can you do with everything that's there? I want to understand it. So I'm going to share my screen and just show everybody kind of what I did, because it's really cool. Okay, so this is not, what you're seeing right now is not actually the image that came out of Midjourney after all of the prompts and the fixing and whatever. This is. So that is what it looked like when it first came out of Midjourney. This is what it gave me. Anybody who knows enough anatomy or has stared at enough faces is going to be able to see all of the things that are wrong with this, right? The eyes aren't right. Her nose and her mouth is a little bit crooked. Her mouth is really far from her nose. Like there are things happening here. Her shoulders are way too small. Her neck is really long. If you don't know enough to recognize these things, you might not do anything about it. But as an artist, I do. So I knew I was going to have to change that. So I edited it in a similar way that I would edit like one of my own photographs. I retouched it basically until it became something that looks more human. So I'm going to go back and forth just so you can see. It took a little while. So, kind of strange, but pretty alien who has a big lump on their head. I don't know. And added the things that would be needed to make this look like an actual person. Fix the eyeballs, all that stuff. Did some paint overs all that kind of thing. Okay, so I ended up with this, which is relatively close to my character, the main character of my first series of novels, Allie. So once I had this, I wanted to upload it to the program I was just telling you about so that it could have her read the blurb of her own novel. And I'm going to show you what I got because it's really cool. Whoops. Here it is. Let me drag it over. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it or not, but
Can't hear it.
okay, let me see.
But it's totally impressive.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
So she's using my voice, and I read it and just recorded my voice and stuck it in there. And there she is. Like, that's her talking. And of course, it's not perfect, right? You can tell that it's still AI. It's not a perfect animation, but seen on a phone, like, that's pretty wild.
That's creepy.
That's
Totally.
wild. Yeah. And like, so I tried it. I don't know. I'm going to see what I can do with it. Right now, my idea is to essentially have my characters tell parts of their own story, or like read the blurb or whatever, because I feel like taking away a real person and doing something that's clearly illustrated maybe puts a little bit of a distance between the uncanny valley of like a real photo of a person versus an illustration that we're used to seeing those things animated. So maybe that will like be a little easier to swallow. But in either case, like yeah.
That's mind-blowing, honestly. Wow.
And with like, you have access to this right now just with what you already have on your computer.
Yeah. So if you take our Artist Forge scripts and marry them up with our faces, we can go on a beach and have the thing playing.
I mean, yeah, technically we could take a photo of you,
about
Bassam, and put it in there and load it up with things that you have said, and it will animate your face.
Yeah.
It's not going to move like you, but
no, of course not. But we can. Yeah, you could do a full production. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And while we're on the subject of AI, I mean, Matt and I discussed this quickly outside of here, but I found, and he did too, this AI program that takes shitty audio. You just upload your audio file to it, and it spits out in a few seconds perfectly good professional sounding audio. So and it's like it takes no time, and so you can tape your thing on any microphone you have on your iPhone, or put it up there and bring it back as professional audio, and stick it on your thing. I'll send the link. I'll post the link.
Man. Okay, that's wild.
Yeah. I tried it. It's amazing.
So I covered this just a little bit, but how I'm planning to use it, I'm going to experiment with it for just a month. I went ahead and got a month's worth of membership so I could remove the stuff on there. I'm going to use it with my characters. So I have already illustrated a couple characters from my books, but I'm going to illustrate more. You have to make sure that they're front facing. A lot of them I tend to illustrate in a kind of a 3/4 or with different head turns. I'm going to do some front facing ones, and I'm going to see if I can have my characters speak for themselves. And maybe I'll see if I can get a couple friends of mine who do narration to narrate short snippets and add those to it and just see what I can play with and how people respond to it. Because as the writer of the stories, it's really cool to look at something that's like representational of your character and hear from them. And I don't know how other people will respond to it, if they will see it and be like, this is really cool. I would love to see my characters come to life as well. Or if readers will be like, nope, creepy, and it messes with what I have in my head, so I don't want it. I don't know, but I'm really interested to find out because of what's possible. Like in order to do something like this before, you would have had to do frame by frame animation based off of something that was already recorded. And I think Becca, you and I mentioned this, that talked about this. I think that I heard somebody say, but essentially, up until now, big money has controlled big media, meaning they only tell the stories they want to tell in the ways that they want to tell them. If this kind of technology moves at the pace that it is now, I will be able to tell my version of Little Red Riding Hood via a movie by myself. I won't need to hire animators. I will be able to bring that to life myself. I'll be able to tell my books. I'll be able to make videos of my things that happen in my novels myself without having to spend 10,000, 20,000 hours learning animation or whatever. This is going to I think we're going to see an explosion of creativity from people who either never had the privilege or the ability to spend the 10,000 hours that it takes to become a master of some art field. I think we're going to be able to see those people, those creative people with all the stuff that's in their head and these tools at their disposal. Like we're going to be able to see great, cool things that we never would have seen before. So I'm like super jazzed. I'm weirded out and also hesitant, but also really excited. Just seeing this today was like, what else is possible now?
Hey, Nicole, it's funny. It's something very recent, and I'm surprised I just thought of it now. I don't know if anybody watched America's Got Talent, but on this season, which just finished, there was one of the performers that made it to the top 3, which are 2 tech guys that use AI to do exactly what you've been talking about. So they would have a singer on the stage, a random singer, and then they can take a picture, for example, of Simon Cowell or Elvis or whoever, right? And they superimpose that on the screen, and it's that person singing in the voice of the person singing and they can play with the voice to make it even sound like that person themselves. So it sounds like it's exactly the same type of algorithm or technology in terms of AI, where you could take somebody's script or voice and apply it to a moving face based on a few pictures of the person. If you have a chance to go back and see it, I'm sure it's on YouTube. It's exactly what you're talking about, maybe different, slightly different. But look it up. Very recent, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I will, because I just think that's wild.
I'll look it up and I'll send you a link.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to share that on our chat today because, like, I'm both weirded out and excited, and like, I'm interested to see what applications we can see from this. Like, imagine if you're putting together a deck for a project and you are pitching this, and you can pitch the character that you have designed speaking, right? Or like moving without having to put in all of the additional effort that it takes to like animate that and do other things. Like, how much more convincing? I don't know, man. I didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, that's it. That's what I had to contribute.
Yeah.
So what
can I please, when you decide to do that for your books, can I voice Ronan, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed, you can.
Fantastic.
Fabulous. So I think probably what's super fun, I'm actually going to pull up. Let me see if I can grab one of the illustrations for him. Oh man, I only have the spicy ones right now. Where's the other one? Because that would be really fun. I am the worst. Is anybody else really, really bad at file management on their computer? I am so shit at it. Everything is everywhere. Like, I don't even know where to find things half the time. Oh, here we go.
I find I'm relatively organized, but many times I create a folder and then I forget that I created it. So I create a different folder for the same thing, and I do it again, and I do it again.
They're in multiple places.
Thinking I'm getting organized, and somehow I can't find what I'm looking for because it's all over the place.
Yep.
That's what I do too. Or like I'll drag something off an external and I'll just put it like, on my hard drive, and then it's separated and I'm confused and I don't know what's duplicate or not.
Yep. So there you go, Matt. This is going to be speaking for you, or you're going to be speaking for this.
Send me some lines. Send me some lines. I'd be happy to do it.
Can you make him as handsome as Matt?
No, there's only one of Matt.
All right.
I'm not even going to respond to this.
Hey.
Sit back and take it.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, yeah. So moving on. I just wanted to share that. Yeah. So AI is crazy, and that blows me away. Also, there are many things to look at and try and do, and who knows where they're going to lead. So if you're hanging out with us today, we're just hanging out, chatting. Matt is, what are you doing today, Matt? You want to share some stuff you're doing? I know you said you wanted to leave everything open for questions. So like, if anybody has questions, it's a free Ask Me Anything. Spit them out.
Yeah. So I'm happy to do anything. I'm basically just sitting here and I am editing. Let's see. That's not what I'm working on. What am I working on? I'm working in Photoshop somewhere. No idea where that might be. I'm really trying to find that. So yeah, I'm just editing. I took a couple of photos at Portrait Masters and finally having a chance to take a look at them. And this being one of them, this is of the incredible Aphrodite as a Valkyrie.
I'm obsessed with her. I want her face.
Yeah, a lot of people do. So I was working a few different versions. So I've got this, and I'm trying to figure out which ones I like better. These are all just kind of straight out of camera. And I am going to...
So many people are going to see those straight out of camera and just get pissed at you, Matt. You're going to be like, screw you.
I'm going to bring
it takes me 5 hours of Photoshop to make it look like that.
Yeah, so I wish, I don't know if you can see all the Lightroom controls that I have. It's not showing up on OBS for me. Yeah, so the handful of things, if I'm in here and I give you the straight out of camera, it's that. And then I just did a couple of, kind of tweaks to contrast and highlights and whatnot, but no real color grading or anything. So it first time using the new Fuji, the H2S. And so this is at what, f1.2 on that 56 mil lens, which is the 85 equivalent. And it's
zoom in. I want to see.
It's bonkers. Where do you want to go? 200%?
Wow.
So
look at the texture in the skin.
And this has so let me, let's see, where were we? What do I like to shoot with kind of like the classic neg or the classic chrome. These are the Fuji simulations that they have in camera. So if I go classic chrome, it just looks like that, and it's beautiful. But those aren't even the sharpest ones. Like that 56 can cut glass with how sharp it is. And let me see if I can
get going, guys. Enjoy.
Bye, friend.
Later, Bassam. Like this one, I love. Yeah. And I'll just kind of dig in here. And it's, a little bit soft at 200%. But in aggregate, when you look at the whole thing, and if I throw that classic chrome on there, I just love the tones in all of this.
Yeah.
And these are as well, just kind of straight out of camera. If I bump up that exposure just a tickle, just everything looks so beautiful. So I'm loving the kind of grain that it throws on there, and it does soften things up a little bit, but I don't mind that. I love that film look.
Me too.
So,
it's a little more painterly, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. And for something like this, right? That's exactly what I'm going for. I was working on, let's see if it'll shift over. This is just a kind of like, pardon me, a zoom in from a very similar shot to this with the wings. And I really wanted to just kind of get the portrait. I thought she was stunning. So I'm working in Photoshop at the moment to, let me see if I can add another source in here. And this is incredibly boring to watch me do this.
That's okay. While you load stuff, we have a question from Gene.
Yeah.
So he says, I'm in the process of building my first portrait studio behind my house. So I wonder, what are some things you guys always wished you had or so glad that you have in your studio, from like power to lights, furniture, whatever? So if we could like build ourselves a portrait studio, what do we want? What would we do?
Extra cables for everything.
Oh,
extra cords. Extra extension cords. Every possible connection. Yeah. Because I don't know how many times I've like pulled out my lights. Like not necessarily in studio. That's easier to keep things organized, I think. But like when I've been on location and then I don't have the cable for my lights or something, and I hate everything about it.
I would say that's great. Cables are always good, right? So there's the essentials. If you're doing a portrait studio, specifically, a good reflector or a V flat, right? So piece of polyboard, just make it into a V flat. One light or a window. Bunch of clamps, because you can always use clamps. You can always use gaffer tape. The little things that help you create the vision. It's not about the lights and it's not about the equipment and all the things. Think about the style of portraits that you want to shoot. Do you want to shoot at 35 millimeters and have really wide frames and big backdrops? Do you want to shoot at 85 millimeters and have, tight portraits like the one I'm showing here? What is it that you want to shoot? Because that'll dictate how much extra equipment or how many things you need. You don't need a lot. I overbought everything. I have way too much shit. And I was in the studio today ripping it apart because I came back from Portrait Masters and I just kind of walked into the studio like a client would walk in. And I didn't like the way it looked. So I'm kind of revamping things and getting rid of a lot of wardrobe, getting rid of chairs and backdrops. And so Gene says, would you bother with an infinity wall? Space is 12 by 6. The space is 12 by 16. Nope, not big enough. No.
Not worth it.
Nope.
What I would get if I could do anything in my studio, and I may still do this in my garage, I realized this the last time I was shooting in there. This is what I would do. I would get like 4 drywall poles and a shit ton of super clamps, because I often want to put my lights in places that aren't always practical for my lights to go. And if I'm setting up things like sets in studio, so I was photographing, it was going to be the Angel of Justice, but our school ended up having a lockdown. It was a big mess. Anyway, so we had to cut things short. I needed to hang 2 cloud walls that I made with one of the printed backdrops from the backdrop studio. So it was cloud. So that was going to need to hang in the background. And then I needed to put lights. Like I wanted to have something really high on the ceiling. Like I needed to put them in places. If you can put a drywall pole up and then stick a super clamp on that, you can put your light anywhere along that pole. And if you can clamp poles to each other and move things across the ceiling as well. And so like my whole thing is, I can put the drywall poles anywhere. I can put my lights on those. I can also, while there's a light on that, I can clamp a backdrop to it and stretch it across the, like, I feel like it just makes for infinite possibilities, and it can all be broken down and stuck in, like, leaned against the wall in the corner or something and be completely out of the way. So if I was doing something now, I would 100% do that.
You know, I'd love to see pictures of that, Nicole, because the hard part is I've got 17-foot ceilings. And so stabilizing anything against the ceiling, like an 8-foot ceiling, just ain't going to happen, right? So,
yeah.
Oh, and Sarah Rock is here. What up, Sarah?
Sarah's here. Hi, Sarah.
So I'd love to see that because, you know, as I looked at the studio, I've got 5 or 6 permanent shooting bays that I can set up, which is great because I can move around really quickly. However, they're all like, blah, right? They're not sets, they're just backdrops. And so I want to add more texture and set design and whatnot, and have a couple of bays that are just nothing but a signature kind of classic textured look. So I pulled all my backdrops out and was going through all this stuff, and I realized I had no nails or anything. I'm just going to nail shit to the wall. Like, I'm not even trying to do fancy pipes or anything like that, which I've done in the past. I've used conduit, I've used all sorts of things, but with space being a premium, I'm just going to nail stuff to the wall, texture it, use a couple of Mathellini clamps here and there, and, you know, just add some different depth. So kind of in this big process, but, you know, the hard part is I have a hard time getting rid of anything. And I've got this 200 record jukebox that's working, and it works perfectly. I don't need it. It's taking up space. Anybody want a jukebox? You can come and grab it and I'll give it to you. So yeah, Gene, I think, you know, start simply, have a couple of sessions, think about what it is that you want to shoot and, you know, the space, how you want to use it. Get through a couple of sessions and figure out what you don't have. What are the things that you do need, rather than think, oh, I need to buy this and I need to buy this and I need to buy this. You don't most of the time. It really is, you can get away with a lot less than you think. I wish I had just added things when I was doing commercial shoots. I would just add a little bit of, you know, this, that, or the other thing on. But for portrait shoots, I realize how little of my stuff I actually use. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like such a big part of that equation too is, like you said earlier, like knowing how you want to shoot, and like Becca mentioned, like what are you shooting? Because for me, I don't take simple portraits. So like having a simple setup where I'm just like, I've got a backdrop and a couple of lights is never going to be, I'm always looking for wild places to put my lights. I'm like, can I stick it in the corner? And, you know, can I, like, I'm trying to always, like, I'm lighting everything in my head as if the person I'm photographing was in a movie, and where would the light be coming from in this scene? Like, that's kind of how I think of it. And in order to do that, I have to have like a whole lot of flexibility. So in my case, like doing that makes a lot of sense. But if you're doing classic portraits, then like, my setup would be so annoying for you. It would be like, you'd be like, God, nothing is ever easy, and it's never where I need it to be. And I have a client coming in, and now I have to redo all of everything, and it would just be a huge disaster. So like knowing what you want the end product to look like, I feel like is a super big deal.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it, right? So, and I'm kind of revamping all of that for myself too. God, I'm going through all this transformation, and part of what I'm trying to do is take more, like, I'm changing the type of portraiture that I want to do, right? So I'm kind of getting away from the glam stuff, and I'm really focusing on connection and soul, and really trying to make every portrait that I take deeper and more impactful to look at, rather than, wow, it's a really pretty picture and I feel empowered. I don't want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel like, oh shit, that's me. Like, and I want to know what the story is. That's the big part of this. So I realized that I don't tell stories, and I'm just going to ramble on, so shut me up whenever. But I realized I love telling stories, but I don't like all the glitz and glamour and fantasy and, you know, all that stuff. Sure. I want to attract people in with a certain like look in eyes. I want people to stare at a photo. and wonder what the story is. So I'm trying to go for more portraits in that vein. And you'll see me start to release some on Instagram that are over the next couple of days that are more representative of that.
Nice.
And yeah, it just feels right. You know,
I'm excited for you.
Instead of doing what I think I should do,
Yeah.
I'm doing kind of what God, that was such the wrong tool to use. I'm just trying to, connect with myself a little bit more and do things that make me feel good. And the style of photography. I've been reading a lot of Lindbergh coffee table books. Yeah. And I realized just how much I'm in that world. The same with Chris Orwig, who is a phenomenal photographer, and got a chance to talk to him out in Arizona and just really resonated. We had a great time chatting. He gave me a book and signed the book, and just looking through it, it's called Authentic Portraits. And
that is what I think of when I think like the work that I've seen of yours, where I feel the most connected to it, or that I'm most like, oh, Matt, that feels like you to me, is like the ones, the pared down, the super vulnerable, the just like, that's the stuff that when I look at your work feels the most like you. So I'm super excited about that whole thing.
Yeah. And so, I've been thinking about this, and I say, well, how can I did Come As You Are a couple of years ago, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And, from the standpoint of Come As You Are, I wanted people to feel okay with how they were, without really a whole lot of thought into it. Show up, get a portrait, get introduced to contemporary portraiture. Great. Well, kind of the evolution of that is becoming this campaign that I want to run, the I Am campaign. So it's kind of an evolution rather than like Come As You Are. This is a definition of who you feel you are. Like I am this person. This is my story. I'm in recovery. I have cancer. I am a race car driver. Like, what's the identity that you want to put out there? Or what's the story that you really want to portray? But I want it to be simple. I want it to be black and white. I don't necessarily need color. I want stripped down and impactful. So that's kind of where I'm leading. Now, do I know what I'm doing? Sure. No, I don't. But I'm going to do my damnedest. So this is kind of where I'm leading with all of this stuff, is trying to get more portraits that are iconic rather than just pretty pictures.
Yeah.
I want this to be the picture that people use for everything, that can convey who they are. So yeah, everybody's got a story. Everybody tells it a little bit differently. And I hate these little flyaways that I can never heal correctly.
I just want to share what Sarah said really quick in response to your the changes you're making. She said, yes on story. I do it as simply as I can. For me, it's the character. And I feel you on transformation, because I have just started to come out of a place and get back to shooting. And I feel like that, when we had this conversation the other day and we talked about how we start to figure out what it is we want and who we are and what we want to say, and sometimes stripping away like the things we've added to ourselves. So I'm going to use a really stupid metaphor, but if you think about yourself like a snowball, right? And as you're rolling down the hill, you're picking up snow from all of these things you've experienced, but also as you start to learn, you pick up snow from all of the stuff you've learned and the people you've learned it from. And if you're part of learning communities, if you're in, SBE, you're going to be stacking on snow that comes from that community and how they teach and, what their values are. And then if you bounce into something else, you're going to pick up stuff from there. And like, how do we know what's at the core of that snowball anymore? Like, once we've been so far and we've piled on so much stuff to ourselves, if we were to look in the mirror, how do we know what's us now and like what's just stuck to us? Like, if you were to shake yourself, what would fall off that wasn't really you, that was things you thought you needed to be successful, or you thought you needed to, be professional or whatever. And it's not always easy, but it seems like a lot of people are on that journey to trying to figure out, what do I want? Who am I? And what is that? What do I do to get there?
And yeah, we talked about this the other day too, about how I think we all start with some of that. I need to learn from so and so, and they do it right, and I'm going to follow their method, right? And then you realize over time, and it's not a quick thing, but you realize over time that your voice isn't necessarily there. You might be successful, people might like your stuff, it's all well and good, but it's not really ringing true for you. And I know for me, that's been this at least 10 or 12 year journey trying to find that. And there are moments where it's eked out. And I'm finding that it's mainly in workshops, because in workshops, I don't have the hindrance of business. I don't have the thing where I need to be doing this for dollars. I can just literally let the artist out, right? So when I look at it from that perspective, I realize that there's a part of me that just really wants to come out and create in the way that I want to, because I feel the most connected to it. Those are the images that people tend to gravitate towards more, because there is so much connection in it. So that's what I want to focus on for a little bit anyway. We'll see what my bank account says in, a couple of months. And I might be there just, selling blood again. But yeah, for now, this feels right. This feels good. So that's what I'm going to work on. I don't know. Nice. I don't know.
I love that. I'm curious what the folks in the audience today, like, if you guys are connecting with that, do you feel like, where are you going with your work? And what are you up to today? Talk to us, man. Like, or ask questions, if you've got questions for Matt and what he's doing and what he's about to do, or like, if you're doing the same thing, chat us up. That's why we're here. We want to talk to you too and hear what you've got going on.
I also just spent, Olga's here. I spent an hour on the phone today with someone who is creating a documentary and true crime sort of thing on her family history. Some really cool stuff in there. And so we had a conversation. She was asking me about video and storyboarding and production and all these things. And I was doing the best I could, but I realized that video itself, while I love it, it didn't strike me. Usually if someone asked me to be on a project like that, I'd be like all over it. And I'm so excited about this new stuff. I realize I'm just kind of putting everything else on hold. And again, not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But it's always listening to that inner voice and trying to figure out, does this float my boat? Is this what I want to do? And I have a really bad habit of saying yes to everything, whatever comes my way, because I like doing video and I like doing production and I like doing, retouching and all the things. I love the craft of all of this. But I realize I'm just kind of dipping my toe in everything and not diving deep in any one thing. So I'm trying to dive deep into this style of portraiture and not fear the resistance that I'm going to feel. Makes sense? So
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So anyway,
like
I'm just
not fear the resistance. That's kind of a big thing. Like the closer you get to being vulnerable, the more you want to protect yourself, and the more that like that wall starts to come up. Like, no, don't push into there. Like, don't go there, because if you fail doing what Sue Bryce does, you don't feel that bad because you're not Sue. Right. But if you fail doing what Matt does, that's a whole different ball game, right? And like the consequences of that are entirely like, so it's scary. And to teach yourself to not fear that, like the resistance you're going to feel when you push into those areas, I think is a really big deal.
Yeah, I think that where I'm going to, feel like a success or failure, I think, is when the campaign launches and seeing what the reaction to it is, right? If it's mediocre or lukewarm at best, I'll change my copy, I'll switch some things around a little bit, but regardless, I still want to do it. This is still the direction I want to go. So whether or not the campaign succeeds, that's one thing, but I still really want to do this. So yeah, that's what I'm working towards. And I realize I am never going to take over Dennis Dunbar's job ever. Doing what I'm doing, fumbling around like a monkey in the dark. Yeah. So anyway, I'm deep into eye work right now. So yeah, That's what I'm up to. But I'm also, God, shut me up. I'm on so much caffeine and Adderall. Like I haven't stopped talking for 25 minutes.
You're good. I'm just grabbing a couple. So Jean is just saying, I was about to give up, but found myself moving into a property I've owned for many years. This gave me access to some more space than what I have had. So I decided it was a sign I won't give up. I'm investing in my space and I already have 3 clients for October. Outstanding. Awesome. Trying to keep the mindset positive. Congrats there. And then Justin saying, so he sets up his kind of space in order to do like projection stuff. So he's projecting light through like a projector and doing some cool, background things that way. So that's super rad. I love that.
Hey Justin, in the comments, let me know what kind of projector you use. I had one that just, was a little bit older. It's just not as powerful anymore, but I'm always looking for something, whether it's a, a straight overhead transparency thing from like 3rd grade, or if you're using like, digital projector. I'd love to know just to see what people are using, because I find that stuff like super rad. All right.
Yeah, you can get such cool results. Becca, what are you doing down there?
Stuff.
Stuff, of course.
No, I'm finishing your thing.
Yay!
Then I'll go do something else. I actually think it's done.
So I hired Becca to make a kind of 3D clay model of one of the worlds in my 2nd novel. It's called Paravitani, and it's a city based on, imagine if you could take a skyscraper and turn it into a tree. So have the neighborhoods on the branches, big flats where all of the neighborhoods are at. And she is doing a clay 3D render for me to paint over, so that we can have a realistic looking world with like the right shapes and where the light's coming from and all that stuff. So I'm so excited.
I think that's super. Thank you is what Justin said.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Thank you for that, man.
And also he's saying anything under 3,000 lumens just doesn't cast.
Yeah, no, you need all the lumens.
So many lumens.
So, I'm interested to see what this looks like as well, because I know in my mind when I read the book how I imagined that tree city, and I can't wait to see if what I was thinking from your descriptions matches up with what's being created. I always find that kind of stuff fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm usually way off.
What do you see in your head? Like, if you could describe what you pictured, how do you?
It's a mix of Endor and the Ewoks, as well as like Avatar, right? And all these kind of like big, massive trees. But there's bridges and platforms and all this sort of stuff. And it'll be interesting to see. I think the one thing that throws me is the caste system that you instituted in the civilization there. And I get it in concept. It'll be interesting to see how it all looks. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think so. Gene said he was thinking Avatar too. So I think you guys are both really close. So imagine what you're picturing built by the elves in Lord of the Rings, and you'll be pretty damn close. Yeah. Yep. So I'm super excited for Becca to give me the things, and then we'll see if I can actually turn her rendering into a painting that's worth a damn, because I may like fail completely, and then come back with my tail between my legs and be like, Becca, if I pay you more money, will you just turn this into a whole world?
I'm tech supporting myself out of a hole right now because I accidentally connected things that needed to not be connected. Now I have to undo it. So don't be smart like me. Do that. It's like the equivalent of like in Photoshop when you're like trying to figure out what layer the dot is on.
On
Yeah.
off, on off, on off, on off.
except 3D layers.
Except, yeah, all the layers. Jean's saying, what I find fascinating about that stuff is I'm learning now about what life on Venus would look like. We would have to live in the clouds. I don't know why, because it's so interesting, man. Like, and when you're creating worlds from scratch, you get to kind of grab all of that stuff and just be like, okay, so what if people who lived in the forest wanted to honor where they came from, and when they built their buildings, they patterned them after trees? And so if they did that, what would these buildings look like? And then how would people live? Well, in the forest, like certain types of animals live on the floor, and certain types of animals live in kind of the mid branches, and certain types of animals live high up in the canopy. And so like, okay, well, maybe take that and institute that and find out, like, if you were to put that in a caste system, what would that look like? How would people live? What would they wear? How would they interact with each other? So like, if you had to live in the clouds, like, what would you do? You'd be surrounded by kind of fog and moisture all the time. And where would you get your water? Could you build stuff that condenses clouds into water that's usable? And if you did, like, how would that affect your society? It's just so interesting to think about from a world building perspective, all of those things and how they would interact, and how would you build those worlds? Like, of course it's fascinating. It's the coolest. Coming from a writer, I recommend. I'm done. I'm sorry. Shh, I'm quiet now. I'm going to go back to painting over this thing.
Yeah, I'm spending a ton of time on this portrait that I don't really feel I need to spend the amount of time that I'm spending on it.
Stop it.
No.
No. Your fault then.
I know it is my fault.
My wisdom.
Okay, let's get back to where I was. Let's see. How's this looking? Great. But it needs to be cropped to 4:5 because that's God's ratio. And right there. Let's see. How's that?
By the look on Becca's face, I feel like she wanted to fight you on that one.
I'm a golden spiral girl.
One of the belly dancers at the Ren Fair on Saturday had the golden spiral tattooed on her shoulder blade. And I was like, what?
Please tell me more about this.
I like this girl. I like her.
As do I.
Yep.
Immediately.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's all you needed to do. And I'm like, we're peoples, obviously. And it made me jealous that I don't have that tattoo. So,
all right, I'm gonna play with something else. Not with Aphrodite. Don't save that. There's that one. Yeah, I kind of like that. You know what? I want to just play with some. Since this is straight out of camera, I'm gonna play with the infinite color panel here a little bit. So I've got all the infinite tools, right? And the one that I use the most is the visualizer, because I feel like it just gives me an easier way to see the end result with the display than the infinite color panel, where you just kind of roll the dice, hope for the best. Let's see. Come on, visualizer. Yeah. Doesn't want to work.
boo. Technology.
Boo. Oh, really? You're going to ask me for the license key? Really? What happened?
Oh, that life.
Oh, everything was working so good. Oh, making me mad. I was using all this yesterday. All right, Nicole, do you know why? I wonder if it's a cache clearing thing.
Let's find Pratik and shake him down.
Yeah. It was good to see Pratik last week.
I'm glad he got to go. I didn't know he went.
Yeah, we got to hang out a little bit. He did a shootout on stage with Matthew Jordan Smith and Jason Vincent.
Cool. Jason's rad too.
His was the only talk the entire week that I did not see. Yeah, no, he's the very last speaker, and I was caught in a meeting and just did not see his stuff. Everybody said it was great, really creative lighting stuff.
Oh,
Seems
I'm
like
sure.
a really cool dude.
Yeah, he's rad. And
So-
one of the kindest people, like one
Yeah.
of the most generous and kindest people.
Yeah, he seemed very, very nice.
He is. I often strangely feel the need to protect him because like he will go places, and of course people are excited to see him, and so they swamp him, and they're like, you know, they're excited and they want to ask questions, they want to say hi and everything, and he's like so patient, and so like he loves to be able to answer questions and say hi to people and stuff. But every now and then I look over and I'm just like, somebody needs to save him. Like, get him out to somewhere peaceful so he can like chill a little bit. Because that's a lot when there's so many people.
I was able to get, this is really interesting how, I'm using OBS to broadcast, right? And so what's really interesting is that it doesn't show the entire Lightroom tool panel. So I was finally able to get Visualizer working, and it doesn't show it on the screen here. And I wish I could show you guys what I was doing, because this is just so rad. All right.
So Olga was saying that it sometimes does that to her too.
Yeah. Well, I realized the reason it wasn't working was because I have a network blocker on, and it couldn't go out to the web.
Oh, were you doing like VPN stuff or?
Yeah. So cut that off. Let's see. Let's just add this one on, and then I'm going to mix it up again. Let's add some browns in, mix it up again.
I tried several times, like with several different color software to like do things. I remember like when Alien Skin first came out, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Just press a button and see all the different possibilities. And I tried several different times to do things. I even got some like plugins from other places, and I never could stick with any long enough to like them. I always want to do it by hand. I don't know why it seems to be like a default, because it's so much faster to like have a few tests and like look at a few things and get a good idea, but I never managed to stay with it, and I don't know why.
So glad I don't have anything untoward on my screen. I keep forgetting I'm broadcasting it. So I took this picture of, so I was walking around the floor out there, this trade show floor, and you know, I don't know if you know T, model here.
I know of her, but I've never met her. Yeah.
So she's kind of walking around.
I've obviously like seen her face all over the place. But.
Yeah. So I've seen her every year, and so we were chatting up a little bit, and so she was kind of on her way. She was floating around, and I said, "Duck in here for a minute." And I literally brought her in between that weird empty space between booths where there's nothing. And I wanted to see if I could do something right there in that weird little alcove. And I took this horrendous picture. T is beautiful. Everything else about it is horrid. And I looked at it and I said, how can I make this better? Like, can I salvage this? So this is going to be a little bit of a project for me to see if I can salvage anything. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, man. There's a lot of skin blending here I got to do. A lot of dodging and burning.
Be a good test of your skills, though.
Oh, I don't know. Where's Alien Skin? Where is it? Yeah, we're gonna stop that. Don't save. We'll save that for another day. So one of the interesting things that came out of Portrait Masters was in the competition. They've got a new category called documentary, and so it's.
They didn't have that before, huh?
No, they never had it like as a classic category. So
yeah,
I can't wait. I'm going to start digging back through some of the archives that I have and try to. I love the photojournalism stuff I used to do, so I'm going to see if I can't get back there and get to the roots and find some of my old documentary work. I don't know. We'll see. What else is going on? Ask me anything. I'm an open book, and like I said, I'm highly caffeinated. So
the man is on a roll.
I'm not afraid of anything.
Best kind of pizza.
Best kind of pizza?
Ooh.
Like location-wise or topping?
That is open to interpretation.
However you choose to answer that one, I guess, huh?
Well, there's New York style, there's Chicago style, there's frozen pizza, right? So I just didn't know if there was a thing. Favorite pizza? I'm a big sausage and mushroom fan. On a New York style, but the crust has to be a little bit thicker, and it's definitely got to be cooked enough so that I can just hold that thing, fold it in half, shove that bad boy deep in the gullet, and just burn everything off the roof of my mouth. It's how you do it, man. You got to. That's the favorite pizza.
What about you, Becca? What's your favorite?
China gets eaten, Olga says.
This is hard. Definitely New York style pizza, though.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just want pizza.
Nope. The best.
No. Whatever you're about to say is wrong.
Yeah, if it's gonna be cauliflower crust, like some weird hippie shit, like stop it.
The place in Castle Rock or wherever that I still need to go to is not. No,
nobody's listening to you now. The best pizza is the place in Castle Rock. It's called Papa Pete's. Their crust is crunchy. And when I say crunchy, I'm not talking like St. Louis style. That is a soggy cracker. What I mean is that this pizza, if you lift a piece up, it will stick out straight.
Yeah. Like
this. And when you bite it, it goes like it's crunchy, like crunchy. And it's just so good. You don't understand. You just don't understand. And it's the only place in the world where it lives because it's just a small hometown pizza place. There's like 2 of them, I think. And there was only one for years and years. But the crust, really super crunchy. And the gourmet garlic chicken, it has artichokes on it and like bacon and chicken. No, oh, Matt, you don't even understand. It's so
If I wanted a salad, I'd have a salad.
No, it's not.
If I wanted Thanksgiving dinner, I'd have Thanksgiving dinner.
Nope. And they also have the kind of they have the toppings you like too. They have all the good stuff. Like they have all the good stuff that everybody likes. There's even a taco pizza, which is like fucking outstanding.
No, see, you don't take another meal and put it on a pizza and be like, oh, it's a lasagna pizza. No, you don't.
You do. Yeah, you do. Sure you do. Oh, all the pizzas there are so good.
This is how wars get started.
Is we have to take Nicole to New York. And
I have been to New York. I don't like soggy pizza. If it drips oil and it sogs like this and you can't get it into your mouth because you need to turn it into a taco, then it's a taco, not a pizza, Matt. I'm sorry. It's a taco with pizza toppings inside. So
Becca was the one attacking you, not me.
No, you
direct your anger downward.
Like, if you can't add other stuff to a pizza, make it not be a pizza anymore. Well, that's a taco, not a pizza. So
I will go eat Papa Pizza, report back.
However, I do have to say, if you have never had, I don't know if I guess I probably can't call it an Indian taco because that is a word we're probably not saying anymore. I know, but like you can, I've seen people call them Navajo tacos. Anyway, it's fry bread and then you turn it into a taco. It's made with fry bread. And if you've never had one before, find somewhere that will make them for you or you have to go find somebody's auntie to make them for you because.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It is women in the kitchen making fry bread and making tacos, and
that's not a pizza. You need a Greek guy that's hairy and just been working for the past 18 hours and has done nothing but pizza since his grandfather's grandfather, and they've been in the same spot and they haven't cleaned the kitchen since it opened.
Okay, that's fine. Like I don't mind that.
Navajo tacos.
Go to Italy and eat your pizza with a fork and a knife. I like how everybody got quiet there. David says that Chicago pizza is a casserole, not a pizza.
That's exactly right. Good Lord.
I'm going to go make falafel tonight. That was my plan. And I'm going to put it flat on the pita and call it a pizza.
You can. Who makes the rules?
Damn it, I want fry bread now.
Who runs the world?
Said it was a scam. and I believe it. I believe it. Gene says, wait till AI starts making pizza.
Great. The pizza's going to start talking if Nicole gets her hands on it. And
I mean, I'm not gonna
yeah, I know.
say that I wouldn't.
I know.
Maybe I still would.
So, all seriousness, kind of shifting off. Let's bring it back to me, right? That's where things need to be. So, now, one of the, we started talking about the voiceover stuff, and I'm actually starting to take it a little bit more seriously, but really just don't know where to start. And I'd love to do some narration. I'd love to do some meditations. I'd love to do outside of like me just doing it for me, which is kind of how it happens now. But a friend of mine said that I should, and I never really considered this as a thing or a career path, audio erotica.
There, being in the author community, I can tell you that this is a thing. And the people who do this have very devoted followings. And
really?
Like rabid, devoted followings. Yeah.
I don't even know where to start because I'm going to fuck up my whole Google algorithm by going erotica stories, short stories. And then I've got nothing but, leather in my Amazon feed. So
Yep. It's going to happen.
But yeah, so she was saying that I should do audio erotica and smutcore, as Olga said. But I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. If there is a type of erotica out there, it exists. Like if you try to imagine anything, it exists. But yeah, that the people in those communities are very, very like passionate about the people that they're fans of, and like it's 100%.
Are there like sites that like I have the Calm app on my phone? Is there an audio app for smutcore?
If you
like, I want the Audible for ass, right? So I
think most people do it through Patreon.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And then a lot of them will actually tease that stuff like on places like TikTok. And every now and then, so that's not what really shows up in my feed, but every now and then it will pop up unexpectedly. Pun.
Interesting.
All intended and not intended. But anyway, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'll be sitting next to my husband and he's like reading some article and I'm like looking at, like babies and cats on like funny videos, and one pops up and I'm like, oh my God, stop. Because it's pretty intense stuff.
Yeah. So I really kind of want to dive into this. If I can make mailbox money just saying dirty things into a microphone, like this might be the easiest thing I've ever done.
Yeah. Do it. Shoot.
So yeah. We're talking about art and creation.
I'll send you a link to some of the stuff that I know about so you can check it out.
Yeah, it's a world that I know nothing about, regardless of the niche. Like just in terms of voiceover work, it's been a really long time. I've always been just contracted to do it, given a script, read it, but I don't know the industry. I don't know the business of it, right? And how to maintain like kind of a freelance gig version of it.
To be fair, I don't know, so I know in general that like where some people go and some of the people who do it, but I don't know if they do make Patreon money or if it's only through the selling of like books. So essentially ebooks and like ebook novellas and stuff like that. But like these people would know. So I will. Do you want
to team up on this and kind of split this 50-50? You write a couple of stories and I read them, and
oh my God.
We can use pen names and the whole thing. Like
that would be the funniest shit ever. Getting messages from people.
Stephen Longthroat,
Oh God. I will send you.
That just threw me.
Send you the links of the people I know.
Oh my God! So I can't believe what I'm asking you to do. Good Lord.
Oh God. Oh, 'cause-
Tap of the tabernacle. Ooh, if anything gets the loins going, it's a good old tabernacle. Yes, Justin, I think if I think if we just talk about projectors for about 20-25 minutes and the light that and we just
oh my
there it
God.
is.
Oh man, the future is dark on a serious note. Oh boy. Oh, this is an entirely different thing there. Yeah, that's not something to worry about. It's getting
Performance is a thing that plagues a lot of people, and being able to stand in that, well, forget it.
You're taking us down a dark path, my friend.
This is why you don't let me host on a regular basis, because it's not the artist forge, it's the artist dungeon. You know what I mean? I'll just kind of down a whole different path.
You have access to the channel. It's not like I can stop you. So you're an adult.
Yeah, but I also need to maintain some level of propriety. I suppose. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, looking into that too, just trying to diversify a little bit, but not stretch myself too thin, right? I just feel like I've got all these things that I want to do and that I'm good at and that I've got skills for, but I never lean into that. Instead, I lean into doing other stuff for other people. And, never really gets me any closer to the goals that I have. I mean, a lot of what I'm focused on, kind of like you are, Nicole, is establishing, a basis for wealth building, right? I want to be able to create some products or create some services that are going to be repeatable, evergreen money makers, right? So courses, I've got a course I'm developing. I'd love to do the voiceover work, in ways that work for me and give me residual income. Doesn't have to be a lot, right? But watching what's out there and missing this train would be a travesty at this point in my life, right? I'm 49 years old and the clock is ticking pretty good on filling that bank account. So, what can I do now to look towards the future with a good eye?
Yeah.
So God knows.
I think anything is worth giving a go, right?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Anything is worth trying to see if it's going to work, if you're going to like it, if it's going to,
right, fill
the buckets that you need to fill, and don't let anybody give you a hard time about it. And
but to tackle the mental side of it, it's all right. My overthinking and perfectionism often stalls me right in my tracks from getting anything done, right? I'm like, oh yeah, this would be rad. I start looking into it. I realize this is going to be really complicated and hard. And oh no, right? And then it just kind of falters and it stays on the to-do list. Look into being a voice actor, right? So I want to get kind of past that hump,
I think a big part of that, at least for me, seems like it has been just stop thinking and do it. Just stop thinking and do it. Hi, Sisela. Because that seems to be the only way that I actually take it off the to-do list.
Yeah.
And if I don't like it, I can stop. But I'm never going to know if I don't at least give it a shot. So that definitely has been the biggest helper for me, I feel like. So wild. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to hop off. I got some stuff that I gotta go get done. But you have the controls, sir. I know Becca will be back at some point. I know. You have the controls. So super glad to see everybody today who is hanging out. Hopefully I will see you guys later.
Bye. Tomorrow night, right? Tomorrow night?
Yep. Tomorrow night.
I'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye. So yeah, I'm here. Let's open skate, right? Now that now that the teacher's away, let's let the kids play. I'd really be interested in hearing anything that you're doing. Like Sisela, I know you're just joining us. This has kind of gotten weird real quick. But if anybody wants to come on and join us, maybe I'll try to send you an invitation link and see if you want to join us on air, and bring you into the room. We can talk a little bit, but me personally, not doing a whole lot. This editing thing, I'm avoiding editing for like 6 projects. Sisela, yes, I know. Yes, you can be weird, indeed. But I'm happy to bring you on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a link. And let's see. I don't know how to do this. Let's copy this. And let's do this. I will get it over to Sisela and see what you're up to. What do you think? Would feel like joining me? Let's see. I'll send you the link over here. No obligation, no pressure at all whatsoever. But I've been meaning to interview you, Sisela, for a really long time. Olga, what are you working on? Or are you just hanging out, being weird with me? Olga, what are you working on? Or are you just hanging out, being weird with me? Olga, what are you working on? How many echoes are we going to have?
Sorry.
That was really interesting. I just kept hearing myself. I'm like, is it just rattling around in here? So,
Talking about weird.
good to see you.
You too. You too.
What's happening?
What's happening? What's not happening? Everything is happening at once. It's so much fun. Just great things, growth things.
Did you have a shoot today?
No, yesterday and tomorrow.
Nice.
Yesterday and tomorrow. Yeah, I'm. It's interesting how I've been. So for for those of you guys who don't know, Matt and I are good friends, and we talk on a regular basis about a lot of weird things. So one of the things that I've been talking a lot about with not just Matt but people is not needing a studio, not wanting a studio, and so I've been taking clients at my house and things like that. And been coming to my clients. And I've been enjoying really coming to my clients, driving all over New England to go see my clients. So tomorrow I'm going to Hartford, and that's quite a hike. And I'm really leaning into the paring down of what I think I need to be successful in my business, and not necessarily just saying, I need a studio and I need to do the high-end thing and I need to do that and that and that, but just be like, okay, what can we do? And so yesterday I went to a client's house and I had all my gear in my car, but I brought a tripod or light stand and my camera, of course, and then this softbox that I love to use, and people who know my work have seen the results of this softbox because it is my signature. However, it's secondhand off of Amazon. Like it's bought cheap on Amazon, and then I got it. And so I just used that and created these images in her house, and it was a very cool experience. And I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow with another client. And then I'm going to Vermont to photograph a meadery, people who produce honey wine, basically. And so basically by leaning in to the idea of not needing a studio, of ridding myself of the confinements of what you think you need, and just leaning into the creative process is liberating.
Yeah, and that's amazing, because we were talking before you joined. Jean was talking, if starting a studio, what do you need? And we're all generally saying, you don't need a lot, just focus on what it is that you want to do. And I think, there's a lot of people that feel they need a studio, and I think, you and I have talked about that for a really long time, about growing out of the shooting at home into a studio. But, you know, it's great to see you doing things on location, because I don't get the feeling that it ever felt right for you to have your own space and be confined like that. It seems like you really like, with the stuff that you were doing at home with the Vikings, with the reenactors, with going on location here, it seems like you get the most excitement and you're charged up the most by going on location. Seems like you connect with your own work more when you're on location. Is that a true statement?
That's a very true statement. I think especially because it's like, it forces me to get out of my comfort zone. I can't just rely on what I usually do. I can, but I can't. It forces me to take into consideration the person's surroundings, which often means that it involves photographing people in their space.
Right.
Not just like not just like putting up a backdrop there, but like, what spaces do they have? What have they curated? Adding on, hi Becca, I've replaced you, Nicole. It's more about consideration. It's more about storytelling. It's more about tailoring the session to fit the human experience. I spoke with a client about this the other day, and we talked, today actually, I think it was, and we talked about creating from a perspective of human first, relation, connection. We speak about connection all the freaking time.
Right.
But starting with the connection, starting with the human, and then building the session to fit around that person, instead of trying to superimpose this person into your idea of what beauty is, your idea of what the good picture is.
Right.
So, for example, one of the things I always tell to my clients, you can wear the most amazing Gucci gown in the world, or Dior, or whatever. It can be couture, top of the line, God, drop dead gorgeous. If you don't feel comfortable in it, you're gonna look like shit. Like, it's just kind of how it is. And so it's really important to have to take the person first and pare them down, get rid of all the nonsense, at least for me, to tell their story true.
Yeah, and there's a simplicity in that. Welcome back, Becca. We booted Nicole. She just wasn't contributing enough.
I looked up in the comments, and you're going to be a dom, and I don't know what I meant. So cool. Hi, Sissel.
Hi, Becca.
I may have missed
two
that.
curly hairs. That's the reason why Nicole couldn't be here anymore. She wasn't curly enough.
Yeah, you know, one interesting thing, like, God, I've been feeling that same pull onto the road, just feeling like not confined in the studio, but just looking for something a little bit more. And I've done some off, you know, on location types of shoots for people before, but it's rare that I do it anymore. It's all I used to do. And so there's this weird feeling like I need to be pulled back onto the road. And that's just been building more and more. So I don't know if that, especially after spending last week away, it was really driven home that I draw a lot of energy from meeting people where they're at, rather than having them come to me, because there is that level of comfort that they have, right? That they don't have as much anxiety. They have the talismans that they can touch or look at, or, you know, there's just that level of comfort. So, you know, to really be able to dig into someone and tell their story correctly, sometimes it makes sense to go on location. I can't wait to see what you do up in Vermont, because I think that will just be gorgeous, kind of like your beekeepers that you did. I'm sure it'll be, you know, very similar to that. And
very much related.
yeah, no, for real. There's all sorts of things that are happening down in the chat. Let's see.
Oh no, we also have to consider that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Snarkiness only goes so far. That's so funny. So yeah, I'm really interested in seeing that. You know, it's interesting. I don't know if it's we talked about this the other day, if it's the end of the year where we just start to think about things a little bit differently and start to feel that change, or if it's just a period of time, the 7-year itch, or if it's just getting closer to your true north, right? I think every one of those things is a little bit true. But it always seems like for me, I'm doing my goal setting for next year now. And just trying to prepare so that the rest of this year and into next year will be an easier transition rather than just kind of like, I'm going to go over here and do this now, pulls the rug out and, you know, you're gone. So
wait, that doesn't work?
No.
Are you sure?
No, it doesn't work. So yeah, that's all I'm doing. And I'm really glad to, I can't wait to see some of that. Are you going to do any sort of exhibition at all? Like, I know you could probably put together a coffee table book tomorrow. Are you going to do any sort of exhibition like this? Like, is that something down the line that you would ever plan to do?
Yes. I am being called. That is the most grandiose way I can say this. I'm being called to art. I'm feeling a huge shift.
Yeah.
You know this. Feeling a huge shift in my work, in my business, in my desire to create. And I am being called to change, to create change. All very grand and beautiful and wordy. I have all these projects that I'm working on and beginning to see take shape. And I want to create art for people, both coffee table books, because that's fun, but also huge pieces that people can look upon and feel something more than just, oh, that's a pretty picture. Like I'm tired of just creating pretty pictures. I want to be more than just that. Like, fuck pretty pictures. Like,
you know, Gene was saying he needs someplace to shoot headshots, work on other projects, organize gear. That's why I'm investing in a studio. DC seems like everybody wants a permit. Yeah. And with all the coordination, it just seems easier to have them swing by the studio. Totally true. Totally valid to have a place to land, add that little bit of legitimacy, have a very neutral place to meet. I love that. But I get the draw to be free from a studio. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. That rent can be a bitch. And then Justin's, I have my hand in so many cookie jars that it's super hard for me to ever be stale in one direction. Yeah. You know, and I kind of feel the same thing. Like, I'm always doing so many things that part of me wishes I had my studio set up for all those things. An audio room, I had a psych wall, or I had a natural light corner, strobe corner, like all the things. Right. And there's nothing stopping me from doing any of that, but it's just, it's work. Oh, I gotta go get paint. Oh, I have to go do this. I have to go do that. But Becca, I saw you positioned your mic, and I wait with bated breath to see if it was something that you were going to use. No, I don't want to scare you. I don't want to scare you necessarily.
No, it's there. It's on the same side as my tablet.
Oh, you just needed to move it.
Yeah.
I was sitting here. I'm like, she's going to drop knowledge. Truth bombs coming.
oh,
Yes, I'm going to talk about all the photo studio experience I have, portrait clients. I left Pretty Picture Land a while ago.
Yeah.
Yes, it's interesting. One of the thoughts that just popped up into my brain, especially.
So snarky, Becca. Yeah, the more I think about it, that was really snarky. So, you can see your way out anytime you want. Don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you. Just.
Is that how that goes?
Uh-huh.
I did not know that. Yeah, you don't need a studio back.
Yeah.
I say as I have a studio in my basement.
Funny.
Too many pies.
It's more than I have.
Hey, so Becca, I did want to ask you a question. With it kind of being spooky season, do you find that your work ticks up at this point, or just commissions or commissions? It doesn't matter. I don't know if you had like a yearly project that you were pulled into to scare the bejesus out of people.
Nope. I'm actually like kind of open right now, finally, which is like great because I've just been a stressed out disaster case for like months and months. But yeah, like seasonally, honestly, the new year, like into the spring, is kind of when stuff gets locked in a lot more.
When people finally have budgets.
People have budgets, and also like in relation to like anything filming. I mean, stuff will get planned in like the fall and stuff, but it really depends on weather and like where they're going to be and when they need stuff ready by. But yeah, spooky season, not in particular. It's just fun for me.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Well, coming up on 6 o'clock, I've been here an hour and a half. My dog is whining downstairs that she needs to go out. So unless Rebecca, I don't know why I always do
Mother?
that. I don't Rebecca, clean, like I never, why do I call you Rebecca? Never, ever. Unless you want to carry the torch into the next hour, I'm probably going to shut this thing down. Sisla, I'm so stoked that you were here. Like, thanks for coming on and just kind of chatting a little bit. We have to re-record our podcast.
Oh, you don't want falling backgrounds and
no
like that? You sure?
Yeah.
Chaos? Come on.
Yeah.
Creativity in the land of chaos.
Yeah. So when we tried to, for those out there, when we tried to record Sisla's podcast the very first time, she's supposed to be the first episode of Generator, and we recorded it, and I was having a lightning storm, and we lost power, and then I got that back going, and then her backdrop fell on her, and then cats were jumping. I was just like, you know what? This might be a sign that we should probably do this another time. So we do need to schedule that before you start getting on the road so much that you're unreachable.
Hurry. It's happening. Like,
oh, look how important you are. Okay.
I'm so important. I will say one last thing before you go. I am exploring ease a lot more. If something feels difficult, should we necessarily keep following it? Maybe we should try to follow ease a little bit more. What feels easier? For example, choosing to not keep a podcast episode that has very difficult things in it.
Right. No, I think there's something to be said for that. That might be a really good conversation to have on Monday. Yeah. Okay. Lean into ease.
I will save my argument for Monday then.
You don't have to. You can get into it right now if you want, but
bring it.
Wait.
Wow. All right. Well, kids, thanks for joining. We're going to talk tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, I think. We're doing it. Nicole, have we revealed a topic for tomorrow night? I think we had a whole bunch of stuff we're going to talk about, but I didn't know if we had decided on anything. Oh, I haven't been in the Cool Kids Club in a while. Okay. All right. Well, for the 4 of you that are out there that are watching this, and which the 3 of us are on the screen.
Hey, that brings the total to what? 7?
I don't know, 4 or 5, whatever. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, some other time in some other country. Figure it out. There's your homework. All right, kids. I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Jeez,